Shake Table Lab by Claudia-Alana and Alana Ikemoto. We started building the foundation of the first story and adding cross braces to strengthen the foundation. We finished the foundation of the first story, and we are starting to build the second story foundation. Next, we added cross braces to the second story foundation to strengthen the structure. We have finished the first and second story foundation. We added cross braces to the first story floor. We labeled the dimensions and height of each story of our structure. For example, the dimensions of the second story is 8.5 centimeters. The testing went very well for our structure. Nothing collapsed and everything held up in its correct place. Our structure held 2 sandbags on the first and second story during a minor earthquake. We needed to strengthen the foundation of the first story because it was bowing in a little during a major earthquake test. The strongest parts of the structure were the floor of the first story and the foundation of the second story. The weakest parts of the tower were the foundation of the first story because it was bowing in a little during testing. We used the string on the face of the first story and the second story to attach the sandbags to the tower. We used tape to attach the second story to the first story, securing our building to the platform, and we used it on the cross braces to strengthen them. If we had 5 extra straws, we would use them to strengthen the foundation of the first story.
Go! This is a major earthquake.
It's done.
Dun, dun, dun,
It's
dun,
done.
dun, 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 dun.
It's done. It's done. It's done.
So our building held 6 sandbags. When our building failed, on the first floor foundation, the pole that was holding up the structure was bowing in and out and in and out very majorly. So all the weight transferred to the right side for me of the building, and it just went to the right and collapsed. If we were to rebuild our building, we would add 1 more straw on each side, on each corner of the foundation of the first floor, because I realized that when it was on the when our tower was on the shake table, the first floor foundation, the poles kept bowing in and out, which made it very weak, so it couldn't hold as many sandbags. So we would add it there to make it a bit stronger. What I learned on this lab is that the straws aren't very strong, and that the first floor foundation, of course, the foundation is made out of straws, and all of the weight, as I said earlier, is transferring down to the first floor and putting a lot of weight on it, and the straws aren't strong enough to keep it upright. So I really like this lab because 1, it requires a lot of teamwork, and 2, it also requires a lot of creativity, and it's really fun because you get to work with your friends and kind of get to share your creativity with them and build something that will eventually just collapse, and see, how you've done and what you could do better if you would redo it. Yeah.
Our building held 6 sandbags. Our structure fell over during a second major earthquake, holding 6 sandbags. It started bowing in a little bit on the first floor foundation towards the right, with 2 seconds remaining. If we were to rebuild our building, we would add more straws to the first floor foundation. We would also build it so that it was more slanted in, so that all the weight wouldn't transfer to one side like it did for us, and it would have more support from the slanted in sides. I learned that once straws are already bent, they are not very strong and cannot hold up a building. I also learned that cross braces are a very important part to the structure because they help support the foundations. I really like this lab because we got to be creative and think of our own structure to build so that it would be strong and sturdy to support sandbags. I also like this lab because we got to see what could happen to a real building in an earthquake situation. These are the sensor readings of our structure during the actual earthquake lab. The blue line represents the tower when it was bouncing. The orange line represents S waves, and the green line represents P waves.